If you think that it's time, then let our lives divide.
That was Relax slash Divide by Hail the Sun, released in 2014 on their album Wake. I've never listened to Hail the Sun before, and I feel like in 2014 I would have really enjoyed that. I liked it quite a bit today, in fact, and this is 10 years later, but I'm kind of a sucker for that style of emo, really. Like, you got some dude singing, like, dude or lady. I couldn't even tell him. That's an important factor, too. Because I should just be feeling emos, you know. Anyway, we're listening to that today because we have a song from Shellac from 2014 up in competition today. Hi, my name is Bean and you're watching Battle of the Band. We're on day 6 of the Shellac tournament today, and that is match 6 in round 1. If you're new here and you're wondering what a Shellac tournament is, let me fill you in. We took every single song that Shellac released and we threw them into a single elimination style tournament. Now they're doing battle and head-to-head competition until one remains in the end, and that's the very best song that Shellac has released. Today we're going to be starting off with WSOD, which was released on their newest album, released after Steve Albini died, entitled To All Trains. So that was released this year on May 17th. This is the opening track to the newest album, To All Trains. I have not listened to anything off of that album except for the song we listened to 2 days ago, and that was pretty cool. According to Genius.com, WSOD is an acronym for World Series of Dick Sucking, which is very shellac. A play on the World Series of Poker, a series of annual poker tournaments in which Steve Albini has participated and won 2 bracelets. I didn't know that. Steve Albini is fucking good at poker, apparently. Dick sucking in the title refers to supplication and not to literal oral sex, of course, obviously. The name was explained by Steve on Vish Khanna's Creative Control podcast as originating from Steve's friend and fellow amateur poker player, Andy Kosinski. I didn't know that Steve Albini played poker. I enjoy playing poker. I'm pretty horrible at it, but I have a good poker face because if you've been watching this channel at all, you can see that you have no clue what I'm thinking. Its competition today is All the Surveyors, released in 2014 on Dude Incredible. Dude Incredible has a lot of songs about surveyors. We've already listened to one, that was Mayor slash Surveyor. And then there's Surveyor. And then there's All the Surveyors, which we're going to listen to today. According to Genius.com, Steve Albini told Vish Khanna, I don't know what Vish Khanna is. It appears to be a website, though. Oh, maybe Vish Khanna. I'm just looking at the webpage address here. It says vishkhanna.com/2014/7/31/ep-120 Steve Albini. I'm guessing this is a podcast that Steve Albini is on apparently regularly. But about All the Surveyors, Steve Albini says on this podcast, It's a very snappy song, quick tempo, and it has a literal relationship with the founding fathers and their work as surveyors, in that the tools of the trade are mentioned by name, and there's a quotation by George Washington at the end that Bob recites where Washington describes how the lack of maps is impeding progress. So Washington says we need maps because without maps, what the fuck are we doing here, guys? It's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and check out these songs. Here's WSOD, or World Series of Dick Sucking. Well, that was almost a song. That was great. I really enjoyed that. Super short on the lyrics. The music itself was very great. I love how he opens the song. I aspire to bronze, but I'll settle for lead. Steve Albini's awesome. Let's keep it going. Here's All the Surveyors.
Who walks the King's Road?
Who fears a king?
Who fears a king?
Fuck the king!
Fuck the king!
the speed of light squared. That's a big number. You're pretty big. We've got more of you than we can use. And the cameras in orbit will survey lines on the Earth that show where the corn is in the crater that we made out of you times son of a bitch squared. Here come the surveyors. Here come all the surveyors. They show them. They solo show them. They solo.
That was a pretty cool song. After I finished listening to it, I noticed here that there's a quotation that Steve Albini told the Quietus, which is quite a bit longer, and I think it's pretty interesting, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. Trigger warning, if you're certainly... Trigger warning if you lean certain directions politically. Steve Albini wears his politics on his sleeve. Here's what he said. Here's what he said about all the surveyors and the whole surveyor thing. That was part of a weird conversational loop that Bob Weston and I got into. Todd Trainer, much less so. That's the other members of the band. I think Todd was a little baffled by the surveyor business. I read somewhere that most of the early patriots in the Revolutionary War period had been surveyors. George Washington, for example, had drawn maps of his new country they were living in. It occurred to me that maybe the most direct relationship you could have with a place was literally pacing it off, measuring it and drawing a map of it. It gives you an immediate first-hand appreciation of a place you really can't get otherwise. There's a stupid trend in American politics right now with people who have no experience with politics and no grasp of public service as a profession, just deciding that they're going to jump into it. There's a senator called Ben Sasse, who's president of a university, and he's just, hey, I bet I could be a senator. Kid Rock is running for Senate in Michigan. I wouldn't let that motherfucker babysit, much less be a fucking senator. The obvious figurehead of this whole I am an idiot, therefore I can be a politician is Donald Trump. People think that ignorance of a profession is somehow qualifying for that profession. It's utterly baffling. I like the idea that whatever other qualifications they had, the people who set the groundwork for our country on a political basis had an immediate first-hand knowledge of the place they were talking about. They had walked up and down it. They had seen all of it. They had drawn it out by hand. It would be awesome if it were a requirement for public service to have drawn a map of your constituency, forcing you to go into every alley and meet every person and draw out the boundaries so that you knew every pothole in the road, so that you knew where every pothole in the road was. I think as a requirement for holding public office, you should have to be able to demonstrate that you had taken psychedelic drugs at least once. Having a psychedelic experience ought to be a requirement for a college degree, and it ought to be a requirement for holding public office. Now, probably that whole thing was pretty controversial, but the psychedelic drug part I could see people as thinking. That's very controversial, although I would agree you should take some psychedelic drugs sometime in your life, probably in your 20s when your brain is still forming, so that you can imagine a little bit better how to be a better person. I'm gonna give that one to all the Surveyors. I think it's a really cool song. I did enjoy WSOD, and I thought it was cool for what it is, the music especially, but all the Surveyors had a lot more going for it overall, I feel, anyway. Like this video if you like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share it with anyone you know who might be into this kind of content, and let me know down in the comments which of these two songs you would have chosen if it were you in the hot seat today. That's all the Shellac tournament action we've got going for the day, but please join me tomorrow and we get down with some more Shellac and the Birds tournament action. Until then, I hope you all have a great night, fantastic afternoon, and a wonderful morning. Thanks for watching. Bye.